Good morning, guys. Eddie, can I just ask you? It's always a big honour to bestow a captaincy on a player. What do you see in Tate's style and what he delivers to the team that made you so positive about making him captain? And if you can just talk about how the team's responded to last week in Melbourne for this week.
Yeah, well, I think, firstly, if we go into the background of where we're at, we need to regenerate the team. And so we've got our third captain in the Rugby Championship, we call this the Rugby Championship Plus. And with Tate, having watched him closely at Super Rugby level with Queensland, he captained a young team, and now coming into the team as a starting nine, he's got great potential. He's got a good head on him, calm, but shows good direction on the field, and has got all the attributes of being a very good captain.
You've in your time as a coach, you've had one of the great halfback captains, George Gregan. Do you spot any of those that same flame in Tate?
Oh, well, I don't think we need to compare him to George, but I think that steeliness that George had, certainly Tate's got. He's got a strong determination to win. He's a tough little bugger. Which are all good attributes of a captain at 9.
And I guess I'll finish off asking you, Tate, an amazing honour to be bestowed the captaincy. What have you learned about the captaincy, being in charge of Queensland, and perhaps just tell us, is there any trade-off from your game to when you put all your energy into captaining a team? Is that something you've had to work out?
I guess the difference, I've learned a lot the last 2 years, and I've learned a lot in the last month. Obviously, being here in this team, particularly from a leadership point of view, just how quickly we can solve problems is probably the biggest one I've learned. It's so easy to be a captain and criticise or pick up the negative parts of a game, particularly given how poor the Queensland Reds played the last 2 years. So for me, every day was a bit of a challenge. There was a lot going on in the background as well, but I guess to where I am now, that's prepared me to step into this role. And like Eddie's talking about, there's been 4 captains. I'm the 4th captain in 4 games. So that just speaks of, I guess, the quality I have around me in that space and the amount of people that have helped me in that role. So, and it's the same. I'll go out there with guys like Samu, who I've played a lot with, who's captained the Reds, and has been by my side in this leadership journey. Andrew Callaway at the back. So I've got a lot of people around me to help me support and play my best footy. So like you're talking about there around putting all my energy into the leadership, it's a pretty easy piece when I've got those players around me.
Okay, thanks, Tate.
Eddie, you're talking about a new era. Is this captaincy move just for this test only, or does it signal something perhaps more long-term?
Well, we're definitely remodelling the team. We need to change the team from where we've been, and part of it is definitely the leadership aspect. Tate's captain for this game, but then we'll assess it at the end of the tournament. Then we go into World Cup mode. So, this has been a period where we've been finding a lot out about the team, finding out what's good, what's not so good, where are we strong, where are we not strong. And, the nucleus of any good team going forward is the leadership, and the captain's obviously a massive part of that. So it's all part of a bit of a transitional period for us.
And you able just to provide a injury update on Taniela and Michael Hooper as well, please?
Yeah, both of those are unavailable for this game. Taniela hasn't recovered from the rib injury he suffered against New Zealand last week, and Hoops is still continuing with his rehab.
Eddie, you decided to stick with the same backline. Can you just explain, was there any temptation to move elsewhere?
No, not really, mate. Although we've had a number of players during the week put their hand up. You know, Sully particularly has been really good. Donaldson at fullback and tens continued to train well. So there's been guys sticking up their hands and asking to be selected, but we've decided to stick with the same backline. We've had a lot of change already, and we feel this backline's got the potential to be a really good backline.
Yeah, and last week it was put to you that you got the selection wrong at 10. What gives you the confidence that Carter Gordon not only needs another crack, but is the right choice?
Well, firstly, I don't think I got it wrong, mate. In fact, I'm going to get it right, and the player will get it right. And to say that a young 10 in his first game, you've got it wrong in selecting him is just a load of rubbish, mate. So anyone who asks that question doesn't know anything about rugby.
And did you have to, like Johnny Wilkinson got hammered in his starting debut against the Wallabies in '98, 5 years later wins the World Cup. Is there a history of needing to back your young 10s?
Well, if you know anything about rugby, you know that 10s need time in the seat. Like, if you don't know anything about rugby, don't talk to me.
G'day Eddie, g'day Tate. Massive journey for Tate from being overlooked in April to now get the captaincy. Eddie, can you talk about why you missed that initial squad of yours, and Tate, how that feeling hit you?
Yeah, quite simply, Tate had some work to do on his game, and the great thing is he's shown the aptitude to do it, shown the willingness to do it, and has now been rewarded not only with the starting spot but also the captaincy of the team.
And to you, Tate, about back in April when you missed that squad, what was going through your head?
Yeah, obviously, I knew better than most, and me and Eddie spoke about it around my performance just wasn't good enough. Particularly when you're playing for your country, you can't afford to dish that out at Super Rugby level, and particularly being the captain of my state, it was disappointing. So, yeah, of course I was disappointed, but it gave me the time to work on that stuff, time to freshen up and time to get stuck into what I needed to work on. So, yeah, mate, it was good. It was good, and my form off the back of that announcement, had an immediate change.
Do you want to be more specific about that stuff, or is that in-house? You want to keep that private?
As in what I needed to work on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke about it before a little bit. I tend to, particularly as the captain, look at the negative parts of my game or negative parts of the whole team game. So I guess taking a step back from that and looking at how we can actually grow, how we can develop as a side, and then individually how I can continue to grow on all aspects of my game. So kick, pass, and the run side as well. So, mate, it's not just one thing. It was a bundle of things, and but yeah, it gave me the time to kind of nitpick through that.
Just finally from me, I'm flying down today, but did you train in the snow yesterday? It was an absolute blizzard by all reports. It looked crazy.
We trained, I tell you, there was plenty of sheep in the paddock.
Thank you.
Anything further online, guys? Sorry, Pato,
Yeah, Eddie, I suppose looking at the halves, but more broadly, you've got 2 games now before the start of the World Cup. Can we read into the teams you're picking now as this is getting closer to the team you want to start to the World Cup, or are you still in a trial phase?
Well, you can read into it that this is the best team to play against New Zealand this Saturday.
Okay, and just quickly, can you run us through your thoughts in the back row there? You've brought Fraser McWright back into the 7 and Tom's gone across to 6.
Yeah, really happy with Tom last week. His work rate in that game was incredible at 7. I don't think we've seen anything for a long period of time. If you look at the GPS of the game from last week, that's one of the highest volume games I've coached in. I think the ball in play was 44 minutes, and Hooper had something like an average of 2 accelerations per minute. So he was outstanding. We're playing at Dunedin, and if it was still the old Carisbrook, we'd pick a heavy back row. but it's going to be lightning quick. And so we've decided to go for a faster 6, McBride at 7. Who did well against Argentina, but we want him to put a bit more pressure on the ball, which is going to be important tomorrow on Saturday. So therefore we've gone for those 2, mate.
Have you spent time with Carter Gordon this week, talking him through, his first run on and what you want from him from the second?
Well, that's not how coaching goes, mate.
Yep.
He's a young guy coming through. He's getting enough instruction from his assistant coaches. My job is just to give him the confidence to keep going forward. He's going to make more mistakes. I can guarantee you that. And he'll learn from it. And when he's played as many tests as Richie Mwanga or Mackenzie, if Mackenzie plays, the tip is Mackenzie's going to play, then he'll cease to make as many mistakes as he makes now. Now, we'd love him to have a mistake-free game on Saturday. But the reality is a young guy learning his apprenticeship needs to just make the mistakes, learn from it, and not listen too much from blokes like you. Right? That's my job, to make sure he doesn't listen to blokes like you who want to put rubbish in his head.
I haven't put any rubbish in his head, for the record.
Well, I
just in
don't
terms of
read
the
your
review
stuff,
from
so
the
I don't
test,
know, mate.
I'll stand by that. Just as far as the review from Melbourne, what are the keys that you picked up out of that?
Look, if you break the game down into 4 segments, 0 to 30, we were very good. 10 to 40, 30 to 40 were terrible. 40 to 60 we were pretty good again without converting that to points. And 60 80 we were terrible. So we're a bit like, a kite in the sky. When the wind blows high, we're going well. When it's not blowing well, we can't cope. So we just got to get a bit more consistency in our game. And part of it is we've got a young team. We've got a really young team. I think this is the 7th youngest team picked in the professional era. And we're going to have a bit of up and down. But what I liked about the team was how hard we competed at the start of each half. And the pressure we were able to put on the New Zealand team. Now, we know that's not enough, but we've got to find a bit more on Saturday.
Last couple online guys will come to the room, please.
And the easy thing probably would have been to stick with the status quo, some of the older guys. But that's not necessary. In your opinion, is that just not going to win you a World Cup? And in addition, it's not going to set the foundations perhaps going forward too?
Well, I think we've got to improve the team. And we've decided I've decided to improve the team through promoting the young players. And that doesn't mean the senior players haven't got a crucial role to play. If you have a look at our team on the weekend, we've got 274 caps, I think, in the starting 15. And we've got 260 caps in three players on the finishing bench. So that gives you an indication of where the team is. And we need to keep progressing this young team forward. And we feel they can be a team that's capable of winning big games consistently. And at the moment, we're going to go through a bit of up and down as we get there.